The monitor, a window to another world, a viewpoint defining how we create, work, and play. A key part of any PC setup, and this is the world seen through an ultra-wide. Unlike film, which is often shot in a wide 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio, video games have long been architected for the most common aspect ratios used in consumer displays. Once it was 4:3, now it's 16:9. But in the last 15 years, the ultra-wide format has slowly become a popular choice for high-end PC monitors. And finally, in recent years, this has been expanded to include OLED technology, which is why I've personally switched to using an ultra-wide monitor myself. The expanded view and rich contrast provided by OLED provides a truly magnificent experience across a wide range of games and tasks. So in this video, we've teamed up with MSI to demonstrate the real benefits of an ultra-wide OLED monitor while acknowledging some of its potential drawbacks. This arrives in the wake of the recent release of the new MSI MPG341CQR QD OLED X36 monitor. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? But it does at least offer a fast 360Hz refresh rate, a slightly curved 3440x1440 panel, along with brilliant QD OLED performance. And this aspect ratio has a range of benefits that shift depending on your game of choice. When you first put one of these monitors on your desk, the most obvious one here is going to be field of view, which of course is expanded when your game supports ultra-wide. In a first-person title like Cyberpunk 2077, running here with path tracing enabled by the way, the expanded view does greatly enhance that sense of immersion, bringing you closer to the action. It works both in the first and third-person driving scenes and looks great. The vertical space matches a 16:9 presentation, but you see more in your peripheral vision. It sort of pulls you into the game world, making things feel bigger and more immersive. I love it. The upcoming remake for the original Halo also supports ultra-wide out of the box, and it looks excellent. Even cutscenes, which are pre-rendered, fill a 21:9 monitor, making everything feel consistent. It's also worth noting how these two games, at least by default, take a different approach to HUD placement, and this is one of those quirks with ultra-wide. With Cyberpunk 2077, you'll note that the UI elements here are presented along the far edges of the screen, much like the normal 16:9 presentation, but Halo instead defaults to the HUD centered within a 16:9 window. Many games allow you to adjust this, so it's usually a matter of preference, but it's interesting to see these different approaches, since using a large monitor can mean that information is shoved off to the far left and right into your periphery. Personally, I like this approach. The information's there if you want to glance at it, but the sweet spot in the middle is larger. Aside from the HUD stuff though, it's not like ultra-wide in these cases actually changes the gameplay in any significant way, but it just does feel more immersive when you have the world sort of wrapping around your peripheral vision like this. And if you want, you can do the same thing with more old school shooters. All of Night Dive's releases support ultra high frame rates and ultra wide monitors. Running around at 360 frames per second with the wider field of view is simply superb. It's a great way to revisit classics that were originally designed with 4:3 displays in mind. So yeah, shooters like this all tend to really shine when played in ultra-wide. But since we tested the third-person camera with the driving in Cyberpunk, it should come as no surprise that it also works very well for games such as Crimson Desert. This one already boasts an immense sense of scale, right? But add in that expanded field of view and it really elevates the experience to the next level. While the console versions are perfectly fine at this point, this is definitely a case where the PC version of the game is simply the best way to experience it. And what's good about this one is that everything from the game itself to the UI is designed nicely to support these wider aspect ratios, something you can't always expect. From the HUD around the edges of the screen to the menu system itself, it all feels spacious and well thought out in terms of how it takes advantage of the wider aspect ratio. So yeah, these are the types of games you might think about when discussing ultra-wide gaming, and it's one of the first things I look for when checking out a new PC release, because that ties into one of the minor downsides to ultra-wide. While most modern games do tend to support this aspect ratio, it's not 100% true across the board, and sometimes you're either limited to 16:9 or you'll have things like cutscenes that are limited to 16:9. which is something that was always true with Capcom's games, right? Thankfully, this is one of the areas where it pays to be PC gaming, as the community around these games tend to be pretty strong, and there's often patches to support ultra-wide displays more completely released shortly after the game comes out. That's certainly true for all of Capcom's games anyway, but sometimes even retro-style games can be updated to support ultra-wide aspect ratios. So you might need to do some extra legwork on occasion, but personally, the results are worthwhile and you end up with something that looks awesome in many cases.